Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast. Boom! What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Robyn. I'm keeping it real.
And I'm super stoked. This is episode 112. We are well off into the hundreds, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Dude, tonight's episode is going to be mint.
It is, and I'm also super excited because we are officially on the Reptile Talk Podcast YouTube channel, which is great. I set up our own YouTube channel, so hopefully people will find us. People have been finding us. We've been getting subscribers and all that stuff, which is great. So I'm stoked. So thank you to everybody that is already here and checking in either on Facebook or on YouTube. If you are on Facebook, go jump over to the Reptile Talk Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be doing all the same stuff, just based over there, because I'm trying to do more YouTube content for my own, and algorithmically live streams and scheduled content just clash algorithmically. So, bam. That is what is going on. How are you, Rob? I'm doing
pretty good.
You were just playing with box turtles, weren't you?
I was. So my neighbor, there's like a one box turtle that kind of lives in my little. I live on a dirt road, and there's a box turtle that kind of lives around here, and especially on rainy days, because today it was like torrentially downpouring.
Yeah.
This one box turtle is just like trucking around the neighborhood. And so when I got home from work a couple minutes ago, my neighbors were like, "Hey, you want a turtle?" And I was like, "I don't really want a turtle, but I'll come look at a turtle." And so I went over there, and it was a female Eastern box turtle. She looked pretty nice, and she was digging a hole in their driveway to look for a place to lay eggs. And I'm like, this is kind of a little bit weird, but so we just moved her off to the side, and yeah, she's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
Let her do her thing. And then I went herping like pretty close to where I live this past week, and saw 3 copperheads in one day. I was like so hyped. Also,
now, mind you guys,
almost bit me.
Oh gosh. No, Rob. No.
I know.
Just say no. Now, mind you, this is for everybody who's been paying attention to the podcast since Rob and I moved to the Carolinas. There was a length of time where Rob found 0 copperheads, and he was very upset. Now we have upgraded to finding 3 in one day.
Yes.
So
finally. I
think Rob has found his happy place.
And you know what's crazy? I spend so much time like hiking trails and in the middle of the woods, and I didn't see any copperheads. And then I went to this little walkway that's right next to a police station, and between a police station and a gas station and a Chinese food shop. And this walkway's got tons and tons of people walking up and down it. Copperheads out the wazoo. They're everywhere. Yeah. Those were I've seen 5 copperheads there now in the span of a couple weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. You know, I think we've been around long enough going out field herping to know that like it'll be those places where you
edge
find
habitat.
But every single time it's shocking.
Yeah.
And you're like, why here?
Why?
Like,
there's people right there. You could be in the woods away from all of this horrible society.
Yeah, exactly. It makes 0 sense. Yeah. But something that does make sense though is tonight's podcast.
Redline shipping.
I'm super stoked that we've got Robyn from Redline here with us. We're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, Redline shipping, Redline science, but a lot of people know Robyn because of Redline, especially people who have just been getting into the industry over the last couple of years. But what I will say is Robyn's history in herpetoculture is quite extensive, and he's been part of some groundbreaking breeding projects over the years. Was a part of a for those of us who know Pro Exotics
from back in the day.
Back in the day, yep. You know, I mean, there was stuff happening at Pro Exotics that was literally happening nowhere else in the
Yeah.
country.
If
And
you like Horatio, you have these guys to thank.
yeah, exactly. And man, so it's a treat. I got to meet Robyn in person not that long ago, and it's just a really genuine human being, and a very nice guy. And just recently got to hang out with him and a bunch of other reptile people here in North Carolina, because he came out here. And it was just fun hanging out, talking reptiles. And I'm like, we got to get this guy on the freaking podcast, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to talk about. So without further ado, let's get him in here. Bam! What is going on?
Boom.
How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Hell
Heck
yeah.
yeah, man. Thank you for joining us, dude.
Yeah, when Jeremy told me that we're gonna have you on, I was like, oh, there's so many things that I want to ask you about.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of history there, I guess. So
Yeah.
let's get
As
to
someone who is like really into bloods and short tails, I just remember going to the old Pro Exotics website and just seeing the picture holding the middle of that giant one and just being like, holy crap, that thing is freaking massive. And looking at all the stripe pictures and all, just so many different things from back then that just like inspired me to want to get further and further and further into, you know, working with bloods and short tails and all the other species that I've worked with, you know.
It's still one of my favorite species today. I have a special affinity for people that breed bloods and short tails, and not even necessarily the wacky wild mutation stuff. I mean, I really love like a classic red blood. I'm super partial to stripes because of, we had a history working with those, but yeah, just as a species, super underrated, like super underappreciated out there.
Yeah.
For people, even as a pet species, like it's a big snake, but it can be kept in a reasonable sized enclosure. It doesn't have to have as a big animal, it doesn't have to have a giant enclosure. So I think it makes a really great choice. But yeah, I'm with you, Rob. I really am very, very nostalgic for the blood python days. For sure.
Heck yeah, man. So for those of us out here who are listening who don't know the life of Robyn pre-Redline, the Pro Exotics days and stuff, can you just let us into that world a little bit?
Sure. Started back in 1993, which is certainly not the first phase of reptile industry, but one of the early phases, right when we were starting to figure out like this could be like breeding reptiles could be a business, like a business you could do and make money at or lose money at.
Mostly lose money at.
And that was pre-internet. So, we had mailing lists for animal availability and stuff. But yeah, we did Pro Exotics from 93 essentially to 2012 was my livestock breeding days. Got into temp guns, brought those to the market in the mid to late 90s, 97 maybe, 98. Yep. And we did really, really well with temp guns. That was a really big deal. Still, I think the number one husbandry tool. And I still use my temp guns all the time outside of reptile stuff. 2009 started Shipper Reptiles and started that model and did some really great stuff with that. 2011, we had a facility fire, and that's really what ended the Pro Exotics days. Yeah. And that wiped out our whole snake collection, a few thousand animals. We had a few straggler lizard animals, some of the monitor lizards we worked with, and the Gilas. We had Gilas as well. Those were in a separate building. So we dabbled with those for a little bit into 2012, but that was just the kind of the end of that chapter of live breeding, and concentrated more on Shipper Reptiles. And then I had this idea for what became the Reptile Report, kind of aggregation of photos, videos. And at the time, I wanted to be aggregation of articles and breeding discussion. Forums were still alive at the time. The various independent reptile forums were still good. So a conversation of that way. So that was 2012. I think 2014 or 15 maybe, we started our heat tape company, THG Heat. and kind of took over the heat tape industry. Then I split in 2019. I split with my long time partner, and started Redline Science for products late 2019, and then 2022 last fall is when we started Redline Shipping. So time was right, and the team was right for that, and that took off right away and hit the ground running, and that's been fantastic. So currently, I've got Redline Science for products, Redline Shipping for shipping service. I have the Reptile Report myself. I have some staff that obviously helps me with that. And then heat tape we rolled under Redline Science banner. So I'm still doing heat tape on that side. I don't have a finger in the temp gun world. After our fire, we sold temp gun business to Rich at Reptile Basics. And so he kind of took that over. But in the teens, there ended up to be a dozen new temp gun brands on the market. So that kind of got diluted some. So that certainly is not Rich's main focus. Obviously, he does thermostats and cages and hide spots and all of his Reptile Basics and Vivarium electronic stuff. But he's also partnered up with me in the Redline Ventures. One of a number of interesting and varied partners, including Rich and Brian Potter and Lauren at Triple L and Brian Barczyk, and we have a number of different characters on our various teams of adventures. So that's what brings me to today. Redline's companies are my main focus, and Reptile Report kind of plugs along, does this thing. We're over 1 million strong on Facebook and growing on Instagram. So that's what brings me to today. I don't keep any live stuff outside of dogs, a couple dogs, but I don't keep any live reptiles anymore. I definitely put that chapter to bed after our fire. It was a number of years. I was just, you just don't have it in you after a traumatic event like that. Yeah. And so we just never picked it back up. And then starting the new ventures and the shipping grew, I just traveled too much and, too many trade shows. I mean, it's funny. I talk about travel too much, and Jeremy's probably been in 4 different states in the last 3 days. For me, it's a lot of travel. Yeah. It makes it hard to keep, live animals. And I don't have any interest in the breeding or propagation side of it at all. There's definitely some species I'd like to keep, but just with travel and everything, I don't keep anything live anymore. I have to live vicariously through everybody else.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best place to be in, is just live vicariously through everyone else.
I mean, shit, I don't know how you do it, Jeremy. I mean, you're always on the road and always, traveling, and to have to balance the needs and things out is got to be incredibly difficult. But
it definitely has its challenges. I'm lucky that if I'm gone for an extended period of time, I've got Rob not that far away. I can call him and he can lend a hand. And my roommate Lenny is also a snake guy, so I can call on him when I need him. And if it wasn't for the team element and really good friends, it'd be impossible. So so I totally understand.
Yeah. And that's not to say I don't miss keeping stuff. Like Rob said, I miss keeping bloods. That would be great to have an animal or two. I really miss a lot of the lizard species. Gila monsters we've bred for years, and what a fucking amazing species. I'd love to do Gilas again. Aki monitors. I was always a big monitor and lizard guy, so I really enjoy that kind of a like dwarf monitor species. And then on the snake side, man, we did some really cool Asian rat snake stuff. The Porphyracea, Coxeye, a lot of Cinctus, and the Pulchra. Coxeye are one of my top 3 probably species. Mandarin rat snakes, also an absolute favorite. Rhino rat snakes we pioneered in the U.S. I think we were the first ones to breed those in the U.S., and that was, time is all blurred. Late 90s, early 2000s. And then, of course, number 1 overall, which I think is nobody can truly argue, would be Bolin's python. So, I miss working with those. That was our least successful breeding project, of course.
I think that's anyone who works with them. That's their least successful breeding project.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, I remember seeing pictures that were going up on the Pro Exotics pages of the cockseye and the mandarin rats and stuff, and I just remember drooling over those. Colubrids were where I really got my foothold in reptile, so like seeing those was just like, oh my god, those are the coolest freaking animals ever. And yeah, I mean, you guys were the rock stars of those species.
We were crushing it. The cockseye in particular, I wonder, I mean, we would produce hundreds of those a year. It was, super prolific. And even mandarins, I mean, we must have been producing, I mean, it wasn't huge numbers, but 10 or 15 clutches a year, I think, at least.
Wow.
That's
which for mandarins that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of, even today, there's not a ton of production. I love to follow Matt Most. Because he's working with a lot of those species that I did. And so, his mandarin stuff is way beyond what we were doing. As far as like visuals and localities and stuff. So I really, like I said, you end up living vicariously through other people. I really enjoy the variety of stuff that people keep now. It's much more diverse, I think, than it was in the 90s and 2000s. And it's so much easier to share info today.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the internet in, late 90s and 2000s, it still wasn't what it was today. It was, we hatched a bunch of green tree monitors, the Prasinus, and I could hardly give them away. Like, nobody knew that you had them. Nobody knew.
Oh, no.
But now you can hatch them and you can have 50,000 people see it within 2-3 days, and so it's a much different experience. But we were talking before the show, Jeremy. We were talking a little bit about Kevin at Nerd, and it's not really him that I live vicariously, but more Tara. Tara.
Yeah,
her photos are mainstay at the Reptile Report. And I mean, the animals that she photographs and the way she does them, I mean, I love almost everything she does. And she has access to all the great animals at Nerd. And you just get to see this great variety of stuff. And so you just end up looking for great photos, great video, chat folks up at shows about, the projects and stuff they're working on. Yeah. I'm also a semi-secret nerd for sand boas. For whatever reason, I just really dig, Kenyan sand boas, Pakistan sand boas, really cool species. There's just so much cool stuff out there. In a different life, maybe a different timeline, that I would be keeping a bunch of cool stuff. If I had the Infinity Stones or something, maybe I would have a separate existence and still be doing reptile stuff. But I'm still that I can still be in the industry. That was the main goal. Over the years, right? You just evolve over time. And I'm coming up, well, this is 30 years now. So
damn,
yeah, man.
Long time.
That is. And a lot of keepers go through that, expansion and growth and then shrinking and reanalyzing and then looking at what they really, really want to do and how they really want to fit into the hobby. And I listen to like Marillion Python Radio, and Eric Burke has kind of gone from this, producing tons and tons and tons of babies every year, trying to make the most cutting edge thing, to now he's like, man, I got some diamond pythons and some enclosures, and I get to watch them sit and perch under their UV lights and just enjoy them. And he gets excited to see his Ackies moving around and doing things inside the enclosures. And a lot of people will kind of come full circle where they, think that they really want to get up to this one place, and then they find out, that thing that I was interested in when I was a kid is really just where I that's where my heart is. That's where I want to be back at. And it's interesting to see people who have been in a long time where they end up and how they end up relating to the hobby.
I think it's hard to have longevity like over decades without being able to focus and find the passion part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The money part, again, the money part is really difficult a lot of times. But the passion is what drives you over that long term. And I mean, oddly enough, my passions ended up to be shipping. I really, really enjoy shipping side and the service side of things, and doing providing a great experience and customer service experience. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I really dig that side of things, as well as the animal side as well. But yeah, if you find the passion part that drives you, I think that's the key to sticking it out long term.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you make some really, really stupid fucking choices in the I mean, there's any number of species and groups that we've tried to do or dabbled in, and you look back and you're like, man, that was so stupid.
That was right.
Like, why would I waste my time with that? There's other people that did that so much better. Mediocre attempt at that, but you also got to live and learn some.
True.
This is true. Yeah.
True. And then
you
avoiding
never know
burnout.
until you try.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, avoiding burnout, I feel is definitely a big one, especially if you're dealing with a large number of animals or any larger business side. I mean, Robyn, over the last 30 years, you've had multiple iterations of business in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've had to have at some point dealt with some sort of burnout or getting to a point where you're like, man, this is exhausting. Were those like key turning points for you to be like, I got to change this up? Or was it just kind of like a natural succession of events for you?
It feels more natural. I mean, some of the things were forced, like, our exit from livestock breeding was forced. We didn't have a choice. Like,
right.
You're breeding and doing your thing and being pro exotics on a Wednesday, and then Thursday that's pretty much over. And so that kind of choice is made for you, which again was really traumatizing at the time. And I'm better with it now, and I can discuss it. We have this weird little group, club of fire folks that have had like facility fires, and it's a really shitty club to be a part of, but like Ari had a fire this past year
recently. Yeah.
And so like I can identify with that and understand like how that feels, and then what your thoughts and emotions are, and I chatted them up about it for sure. I mean, I've known Ari a long time, and there's a lot of challenges to that, but again, you have a passion, and so you got to find your way forward.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes those choices are made for you. There are times, like I said, you kind of, you get into a project or you get into a direction, and then you realize, oh, yeah, this isn't working, or this isn't it. I'll tell you what, I had that epiphany moment back in the late 90s. We were breeding animals really well at Pro Exotics, and we had really excellent. We didn't, all the stuff we sold, we didn't breed everything we sold. There's a lot of the back then you were also buying and reselling, from different sources, from different breeders, and there was more wild caught and imported stuff at the time. But we thought we could really do a really nice retail store, like a really nice reptile store. We have amazing animals. We're producing a bunch of stuff. Most of the stuff we sell will be our own animals. We have a total passion for this. We can put out some really high-end, high-quality animals. Even if it's just a $25 corn snake, it would still be a really nice quality. I know how much it's eaten.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it eat. I've seen it shed a couple times. I'm confident this is going to be a great choice for a new keeper. Same with like leopard geckos and everything else. And so we did. We opened a really fucking badass retail store. We had a big giant grand opening, and it was covered in Reptiles magazine. And we did a big push. And 2 years in, I was like, "Fuck, this isn't what I want to do. This sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like retail. This isn't for me at all."
Yeah.
And for some people, it is. My good friend Lauren at Triple L, he's a retail fanatic. Like, that's his passion. He loves retail. He loves the retail market. He loves retail theory and philosophy and opening stores, and he just absorbs all those challenges. For me, it's like completely the opposite. I thought, I fucking hate this.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy working with the animals. I enjoy breeding the animals. I enjoy producing the highest quality specimen I can, and then finding somebody equally as passionate about buying it and then keeping it themselves or starting breeding themselves. Working on the pet side, it just wasn't for me. And so the store did fine, but we just decided to close it because this wasn't our passion. This wasn't, I literally said to myself, this isn't what I got into reptiles for. And so, that was one of those choices, Jeremy, where you said, this isn't what I want to do. I'm going to pivot and go in this different direction. So that's happened over the years. But at the same time, I mean, at the heart of it, I'm still entrepreneur. It's like so many reptile people are. And so the evolution has just been, as the years go by and opportunities pop up, you jump at them and you take advantage. So whether it's, bringing temp guns to the market or bringing the Virusan chlorhexidine concentrate to the market, or Reptile Report idea, or the shipping concept and idea. My brain's constantly filled with that kind of thing. And so you find the opportunity and you decide whether I want to take advantage or not, and you go for it.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, one of the things that when they get into the hobby, they're like, oh man, I want to breed and sell snakes. I want that to be my main thing. I want that to be my full-time gig. And then once they do it for a little while, they're like, I hate talking to people. Why did I want to do this? Like, well, I just like the snakes. Why did I make my whole, being able to pay my bills relying on me chatting up, Chad over here, who's going to ask me why my striped blood python, what morpho ball python it is, like.
Yeah. Breeding snakes is a whole different thing than selling snakes.
Exactly.
Yes,
Rob. Those are two different gigs.
Yeah. And
I can't imagine that Kevin at Nerd likes to work in a retail environment.
No.
I imagine he wants to be in the back, hands-on with animals, and getting super nerdy, no pun intended, on the animals and the husbandry and the breeding and the process. Yeah, I can't imagine he wants to stand out in front of a fucking display cage and pitch, the benefits of this particular corn snake or ball python for a new keeper. Like that's not not him. What drives him, right? I mean, and some people are super talented at multiple things like that, but to your point, you might think that it's really rad to start breeding a mainstream animal like ball python and compete on that level, or do some super esoteric species that nobody else is really doing. But once you produce them, then you got to put on a different hat and figure out how to sell them. And that doesn't appeal to everybody.
It's a whole nother thing.
Going to shows, marketing yourself, marketing your brand, marketing your animals, going on podcasts. I've certainly learned very well, and maybe you guys have as well. Some people completely freeze up in front of the camera, and in person they're great personality, and they can you can have a great conversation and really convey that passion. You stick a camera on them and they just tighten up and freeze, and they're the most dull person ever. But it's another hat you have to wear if you want to get out there, reach your audience, and if you try to sell shit.
That's true. It's true. Rob freezes up before every podcast until he inhales that bowl of ramen.
That's not true. I think that was the one thing that, like, at Nerd, Donnie loved that. He's like, I can just walk up and put a camera on you, and whatever comes out of your mouth is just good. I give you like 3 seconds of prompting, and we can film something, and it's something that I can make into a video. And I'm like, I just been doing this for a long time, man. I have not always put out interesting content or interesting material, but after doing hundreds of presentations in front of thousands of people, and recording my own videos and editing my own videos, I just I understand all those different things to be able to try and make it interesting, even if it's something that might not, so you might get somebody else in front of the camera and it's not quite as interesting.
Yeah. Jeremy, I'm interested in this because from your performance standpoint, if I booked you for some jazz festival this weekend and it was going to be in front of 40,000 people, does that give you any anxiety at all? Or you?
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no, it does. I think even even now I still get nervous before gigs, but I think it's not a nervous of like, oh man, I hope I do good. I hope I do good. It's more just like the anticipation of what's about to happen.
Sure.
The band that I work with for the most part now is a band of guys I've worked with for the last 10 years. So I know that we're going to be tight. We always have really solid rehearsals and we crush it, so that's never the concern. It's just that like, oh man, this gig is coming up. It's more like the happy angst versus the nervous angst.
What if somebody put you up on stage with a musical idol of yours? Would that cause a different anxiety of as far as I need to perform to my ability? I need to impress this person. I want, them to understand my talent, what I have to offer.
If you asked me that 5 years ago, I would say, hell yeah. I would totally be like, I got to make sure I'm on my best. Today I could say I would be excited and probably have some nerves there, but after playing for as long as I have, I'm, and please, musicians that might listen to this, don't shoot me, but I've become very comfortable in who I am as a player. Mm-hmm. So love me or hate me afterwards, that's on you. But I know what I can do, and I know that what I can do is also garnered me the ability to be in that space. So I don't really have to freak out that much.
So you're telling me when you were in front of Tyrese and that other person who we can't name yet, you were not nervous?
Well, okay, maybe a little bit, but
okay,
but not as a musical idol. Like these weren't people that I looked up to. It'd be different if you put me up in front of like Roy Hargrove or Wynton Marsalis, or somebody who like I watched playing trumpet when I was a kid. These guys are just like, man, I really love your music, and like you're an amazing actor and all that stuff. So it was like a little nerve wracking, but at the end of the day, it's just like, hey man, we're all just people. We've got a set of talents, and I think the big thing for me in that regard is I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was like, at some point you get to a level in your career, and I think this is true for Reptiles too. You get to a point in your career where everybody's good. Right. Everybody's good at what it is that they do. So, there's less trying to prove yourself and more just trying to be like, hey, this is what I bring to the table. You're either interested in it or you're not. And, like those moments at Tyrese's place, like with Kim Burrell and like so many other like amazing Grammy winning and award nominated musicians, it wasn't nerve wracking in that regard. It's like, well, hey, I'm in this room too. I might have a moment of self-consciousness and be like, I don't know if I deserve to be in this room. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, I got that phone call. Yeah. So I know I'm supposed to be here, and what I bring is different than what you can bring. Otherwise, you'd have gotten the call because you're already here. So getting to that point of thinking took some time, but now that I've entered that mindset, it's allowed me to be a lot more confident when I'm in the room with people.
And that applies, like kind of touched on, that applies to Reptiles as well.
Yeah.
Like your confidence in what you're doing. It takes a long time to build that. For sure, in the 1990s, I had no fucking idea on how we were breeding stuff. And we were not, a lot of times we weren't that good at it. Again, it was much more difficult to exchange information back then. But, you were kind of like clunking around in the dark on some of these things. I judge me as you will. I thought it was hard to breed ball pythons for a while. Because it was a bigger mystery than breeding corn snakes and king snakes, which were pretty straightforward. Once we figured it out, it became really easy. And the key to that was ultrasound, was what turned the corner for me, to be able to see like, how the females are cycling and where they're at in their breeding stage and everything. That completely, pulled the curtain back on all of that. And that made a huge difference. But yeah, I mean, a lot of time was spent trying to learn your craft, in that kind of more musician kind of approach to it. So, okay, Jeremy, I just have to ask you some more stuff. So do you practice?
Let's go.
You practice every day? You touch your horn every single day?
Musicians are killing for this, but absolutely not. No, in a perfect world, yes, I would. Part of the balance of being the musician and doing the reptiles and just kind of existing and having a regular life, I definitely don't get nearly as much time on my horn as I would like these days. I mean, before I moved to start working at Nerd, I was teaching music full time and gigging a lot. So I was on my horn 10 hours a day, pretty much 5 to 6 days a week. And, my chops were amazing. I could do whatever, whenever, and I was good to go. I'll say the last 2 years, I'm probably like 40% less on my horn. The biggest effect has honestly just been a stamina thing. I can still do the technical stuff and exist in that space, but from a stamina point, I can't do a 3-hour concert and feel great anymore. And one of the things that I'm trying to get better at as I try to restructure and regiment a few things, especially as I've been doing a lot more music recently, is even if I don't have a whole lot of time to be on my horn, just take 10 minutes and do something very simple and fundamental that allows that muscle to be worked out. These are fine. The fingers are fine. It's the lips. That muscle is very fragile and fatigues very easily. So doing some kind of simple warm up is a really good way to make sure that it stays in tip top shape.
Okay. Rob, same question for you. You touch your horn every day?
Yeah. Sometimes twice a day. So.
Well, Jeremy said you only need like 10 minutes. So
yeah.
He's a professional. I'm an amateur. So.
Well, keep at it.
I'll try better next time.
You'll get there one day, buddy.
As long as I deserve to be in the room, that's all that matters.
Oh gosh, this is why we do what we do. Oh gosh, not Limey. Okay, I'm highlighting this only because it's worth it. Limey's comment.
There were double entendres sprinkled throughout that.
Oh yes, 100%, 100%. Oh goodness gracious, we're gonna leave that in. That's okay. Oh man.
So hopping over to the shipping side of things.
Yeah.
With Redline, or moving from the various iterations of the things that you've done, Redline, you said, has become your passion. What about that really, does it for you?
I don't know. It's kind of weird because it is, shipping. You're providing the service, but I guess, some of it was again tied to the fire. Before our fire, when we were breeding animals, the mindset was much more competitive. Right? Like you got to breed this thing or this combo, especially ball python side, to keep up with that other breeder. Mike Wilbanks is producing or Kevin's producing some crazy fucking combo. And now I'm looking at my collection like, oh shit, how are we going to do that? I seriously have to spend $40,000 to buy some, genetic base to be able to, in 2 years, catch up with what Mike's doing today. Great. And so it was always competitive and keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing. After the fire, and I moved out of the animal side and sort of parallel with the reptile report, the mentality and mindset changed to become, instead of being competitive, I'm supportive of everybody. I want to see Kevin produce really cool stuff, and I want to see Mike produce really cool stuff, and I have zero anxiety about trying to keep up with them. I feel bad for the other folks trying to keep up with them, but for me, totally cool. I enjoy seeing their success. I enjoyed seeing Ozzy's success. I enjoy seeing Matt Most's success. What I really enjoy over the longer period is watching other people's evolution. Justin Kobilko was just a fucking kid.
Yup.
Doing pythons.
Yeah.
And now he's a fucking king of pythons. Like, that's fantastic. And Josh Frogs, he used to just be a dude breeding dart frogs in his bedroom. And now he's got a $20 million a year business. Amazing. I love to see nuts. That. Matt at Pangea, same thing. He was just a gecko dude, you know, and now he's got his whole fucking empire. Same with Triple L. I really enjoy watching people's evolution and success. And now I'm able to cheer on that success. And so how that ties into the shipping thing, I'm able to provide a service to all of these different folks in the industry that helps me be a part of their success and contribute to their success by giving, you know, a great discount, great rate on the shipping itself, but provide a great service that allows them, it allows the Mike Wilbankses to reach their very large customer base, but it also allows the small breeder to develop their business and just break in. Like, you know, I talked to some folks last week, creating an account at Redline, and I reach out and contact them and you know, I want to chat them up. Who are you? What do you do? What do you work with? How can I best service your account? How can we best support you? And they're like, well, you know, we really just started last year. We're not even going to be ready to start selling until later this year. But, you know, I saw something about Redline or my Redline promo packs or whatever, you know, other people talking about Redline. And so I wanted to create an account and get it ready and set up. It's like, hey, fantastic. You're not a current customer, but I will do whatever I can to support you. By the way, feel free to send any pictures and videos over to the Reptile Report. We'll post them up there and get you more exposure there, get more people's eyeballs on what you're doing and your new thing. So that aspect of being able to support people is a really, really big drive of what I'm doing now with shipping. And I think that plays a really big part of it. So I was out of shipping for 3 years, you know, kind of waiting for a little non-compete thing to expire. But once it started going again, I mean, I just fell right back in full speed, and it's just been such a great experience and so fantastic. Yeah, I love being able to support other people and seeing their success. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think there's also something special about you know, for the customer when they get that new snake or new lizard or new turtle or new frog in the mail, and you know, you get your package and you bring it back, and you know, you get to open it up and get to check it out for the first time. There's just something, you know, having a hand in that, even if it's not, you don't get to experience it with, you know, all the customers, being able to provide that for people is something that's really, really special.
You're a part of that story. You're a small part of that story, that experience. That's another real key thing about shipping that I love and my staff also really enjoys, is when that person calls up and they're like, I've never shipped anything before. I'm scared. It seems a little wacky and wild and unsure. And so we can walk them through the process, get them the right packaging, and literally give them the confidence that it's actually a really straightforward process. And we'll walk you through it and get you done safely, confidently. And then they make that shipment. It goes flawlessly. Their customer receives it. They're excited about it. And then they call back and they're like, holy shit, that was an awesome experience. Thank you so much for the support. Like, helping that first process happen is really, really rewarding. And, you know, give people the confidence that, you know, you can 100% do this. You know, you breed your geckos, you breed your turtles, you breed your frogs. Currently, you breed your inverts like crazy. You can then get them to that customer, and it totally explodes an entire new world for you. You know, you can ship anywhere around the country overnight and reach this enormous customer base, and to help them through that experience. You know, like you said, Rob, even if you're just a small part of it, there's a lot of satisfaction to that, for sure.
Yeah. When I was working in the pet store for Nerd, you know, getting to share that experience with people, even if I'm just, you know, the guy being like, hey, I think that you would like a corn snake, and then, you know, setting that in their hands, just being able to help facilitate that even in a small way was like one of the most satisfying things. You know, just having just a little part in that is just really cool.
Yeah, especially if they're bought in, like they're down for it. Like, you know, they want to choose a smart species, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do a great setup and a great habitat for it. And they're okay that the habitat is 5 times as expensive as the animal itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun experience. That's the opposite of what burned me out very quickly on the retail side, was the people that just wanted something super cheap, and then they wanted the cheapest possible setup they could get for it.
Yeah.
That shit burned my heart out. Like that.
Yes.
That was
frustrating.
That was right. It's like, no. I mean, we didn't sell Nile monitors, but yeah, you want to buy a Nile monitor as your first lizard, and then you're going to get a critter keeper to put it in. This isn't how this works.
You're going to have a really great time, I promise.
Right. Or Burmese python, or a retic, as a first. To explain, like, this is a big commitment. This is a really, really big commitment. And, a lot of times they'd be like, well, I go down the street and that retail store will sell me a Nile monitor for $20. Mm-hmm. And, I'd rather sell you an Ackie monitor for $400.
Yeah.
The caging and food and setup requirements for the first year in the end is going to be a lot cheaper than your big ass Nile monitor.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience and the interaction of that species, that you're going to have a much better experience. You don't have to commit a whole entire bedroom to it, which I know you're not going to do anyways. But yeah, having that discussion was a bit soul sucking at times, because I mean, I'm not trying to bag on the retail side, but to have somebody come in and buy something and make just piss ass effort for it, and then come back 3 weeks later and be that thing died. Let's look at something else. Let me get something else.
No,
this isn't what I'm in reptiles for. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. That's like aquatic turtles was a number one thing. I was like, people walk in, hey, I want to get a turtle for my child. And I'm like, how old is your child? They're like 4. I'm like, you don't. No, you don't want to buy a turtle for your child. Well, I had one that was like this big and it only lived for like 2 years. You guys have any of those ones? I'm like, you killed it. You killed it. They all live for well over 50 years. No. It's just one that stays this big. It only lives 2 years. And I'm like, you can't reason with a lot of those people.
Well, that's a part of the reptile industry now that I'm much more excited about, is the move towards more naturalistic setups, bioactive setups, proper setups, and the drive to want to provide for the animals appropriately. Mm-hmm. So make good species choices that you're then going to make great husbandry cage choices for.
Yes,
I see that a lot more. It's a lot more prevalent today than I think it was 15 years ago. So that's very exciting. To see that push towards that. And then, of course, our options are a lot better. The cage options and the terrarium options are a lot better than they were 15 or 20 years ago. So, everything comes together and evolves together. And so there's some really great choices being made. But, people are making better species choices for what they're able to do these days. I'm sure the bad side still exists, but I do like to see people making some great choices at the same time. And supporting some really cool fucking species.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So speaking of great choices and customer service, this is the perfect segue. You recently talked about bringing on a new staff member at Redline. Yes. That is a huge deal. Care to elaborate a little bit on that one?
Yeah, sure. We brought on AJ from Ship Your Reptiles.
Hey.
Started with us last week, 10 days ago. In my Ship Your Reptiles days, AJ was my all-time favorite staffer. She was super talented, super good at what she did. She definitely has a passion for it. And, after I left SYR, I really missed working with her. And I didn't anticipate having an opportunity to work with her again. But this year, some different things happened, different things fell in place. And the opportunity opened up and we made it happen. So yeah, AJ had been running SYR day-to-day operations and really making that company what it is today. And now she's on Team Redline. And I could not be more excited about that. And she's smarter, in the reptile and shipping business than she was when I left. She's more capable than when I left. She's just grown so much, and she brings so much to the table. It's exceeded my expectations on what might be possible. So yeah, really, really big things lie ahead. I'm super excited about it. To touch on something we mentioned earlier, she's a person that is not going to do podcasts. She won't come on your show. Hates cameras, which is kind of a bummer because she's so amazing. She's so awesome. I think you'd really enjoy chatting her up. You could chat her up at shows, but yeah, once you put a camera in front of her, apparently she gets a little freezy on that. So we'll work around that part. But yeah, I think as an addition to the Redline team, it's a monster pickup. Huge coup for us. I'm super excited about it. And I think, I think we got really, really big things ahead for 23.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I was very shocked to see her come in when we all went out for. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. Jeremy saw the secret reveal because I traveled. I took her to North Carolina to visit our partner Rich at Reptile Basics. That's where we get our shipping supplies and packaging stuff filled through the Reptile Basics warehouse. So we went out there and we looked at, cutting foam and boxes. And then we looked at all the Reptile Basics process of building thermostats and looking at hide spots and CNC caging and all that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, we ended up putting together a dinner for, a handful of North Carolina folks, including Jeremy. And, I didn't tell anybody. I really had AJ with me, but she showed up. Jeremy's like, why is AJ here? This doesn't track. So, yeah, it was kind of a secret reveal. At that point, it was still undercover. We were still training and finding our fit and our way. But now she's on the job 100% and answering phones and answering emails and stuff. So, yeah, the cat's out of the bag at this point. But, yeah, you were one of the first to see that big reveal there, Jeremy.
Heck yeah!
You looked so excited. I was so happy because apparently you're a big fan of AJ. So
no, man, I worked with her in the past, and she was always great and super helpful and everything. So yeah, to see her jump on Team Redline, I was super excited because definitely a major player for you. And she actually just helped me out recently because I had a package get stuck in Indy. Right. So so she was right on it and true to form, was incredibly helpful and always pleasant to work with. So yeah, it was great to see that she's on Team Redline for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially, signing Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or something.
It's true, man.
It's a big deal. I'm super excited.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. No, so I'm definitely super excited for the rest of what 23 has in store for Redline. Going to Redline Science really quick. The husbandry aspect, having the tools to do that. What was the drive to start Redline Science to provide that element?
That was more entrepreneurial shit.
Yeah.
The opportunity was there. I was trying to figure out the path forward after my split.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really tremendous group of partners, and they all bring something different to the table. And one of the partners is Rich at Reptile Basics, and he's really, really strong on manufacturing. So on manufacturing, sourcing products, developing products, he's really strong on that. And so started just having a conversation with him about different products and where there might be a need for some things. And, we just kind of came up with some different ideas and started developing the products. I mean, he already sold a ton of stainless steel stuff. But I knew that there was an opportunity to do, it's a really simple fucking idea. You could do stainless steel in colors, like powder colors.
Yeah.
And nobody's really doing that or taking advantage of that. And so I thought, well, what if we did, a line of stainless steel hemostats and tongs and scissors and cleaning items, and did them in a variety of colors, red and green and black and white. It would be something different, and it would help us stand out from the competition.
Yeah.
And so we hit the ground running with that, and that shit took off. That sells really, really well. And I love it. I think, it's a great product. One of our other partners kind of had the idea for doing the cleaning scrapers, our stupid fucking plastic cleaning scrapers. Super simple idea. And in my history of cleaning reptile tubs, it's incredibly frustrating to clean tubs with, stuck on urates, and different things. And now that we came out with cleaning scrapers, and we do a blade scraper, like a plastic razor blade. So it scrapes really well, but it's not going to cut your thumb off. And then we do detail scrapers with, 6 different points and styles of tips to get into different nooks and crannies. And I remember the different tools that we tried to use back in the day. And I've talked to people that have, cleaning spoons that they use to scrape their tubs. I've talked to people that have what they literally call poop pennies. To scrape poop out of the radius of the tubs. And they're like, I can't believe nobody ever thought of actually doing a scraper to accomplish these same things. So, again, super simple product. And it's been super, super popular and done really well. Just, you talk with your partners, and I was really excited to work with a number of folks that I've wanted to work with forever, like on a real partnership business level for years. And just, given the circumstances, I was able to put together that team. And, like I said, everybody kind of contributed and lent their ideas and expertise. And we ended up developing a product line. And I'm super happy with it. And I love the products. It just so happens, that we have Redline Science products, and, I manufacture them. So we get them at a very nice price, and then I can leverage them onto the Redline shipping side and use them for promo products and for, bonus stuff. So every time we send out packaging supplies for Redline shipping, whether you're buying insulated boxes or heat packs or reptile bags or whatever, we include free Redline Science product as well. Scrapers, hemostats, different things. And the complement of those two companies just so happened to work out really well. And that was Lauren's idea from Triple L.
Hell yeah.
He was like, when you're sending out packaging, put some free product in there. Mm-hmm. Nobody else does that.
Yep.
And I was like, we have access to really great product that we get at cost. That's a genius idea. Let's do that. So we started doing that, and that's been a huge hit, and so much so, like, that we now are selling our actual product packages with a bunch of different products and promo stuff in there. That's gone over really well. So people have been super receptive to it. I'm really happy about it. And on the shipping side, actually, we've developed some new cool stuff as well. We're doing our own phase packs for shipping. So the phase change shipping packs are a Redline shipping product. And we just came out with new snake bags in black. So it's a black material, poly material. It's much plusher than the standard, white cotton snake bag. Mm-hmm. And that's been received really, really well. People are really stoked about it. And again, super simple product. It's a fucking snake bag. You put a snake in it. It's not complicated. It's not expensive. It's not technological. But sometimes you just, you get onto some, great simple product ideas that go over really well. So adding those to our selection has been really strong. I'm excited about that. And we'll just keep pushing Redline, companies forward, and hopefully keep growing and see where it goes.
Dude, hell yeah.
Dude.
I can't tell you how many people would message me and they're like, where do you get tweezers from? Where are you getting the hemostats from? And I'm like, before I'd be like, well, you just gotta like scour the internet and hope that you can find the right thing.
Yeah.
Because like
now you
before,
get a
I was
Redline
like, exactly.
Available dealers like Reptile Basics, Pangea Reptile, and Triple L.
There's the plug. There's the plug.
Yeah.
Heck
I
man.
wouldn't be able to be where I'm at and be successful without an immense support team and the support of other folks in the industry. The folks like I mentioned that actually deal our products, other folks that I'm able to share a lot of quality time with and thoughts and philosophies. Josh from Josh's Frogs, Matt from Pangea, Josh from BioDude, Lauren at Triple L. It's always great. There's so many good brains in the world that bring something to the table. I really enjoy having these relationships and being able to brainstorm with folks and being able to, take some of the great ideas and great strategies and things that they have and move forward with it. It's been fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. I love seeing teamwork really be able to push an idea from the beginning stages into full fruition and then see it be so successful is always really exciting.
But one of the key things I learned was if you execute at a high level, you should be successful.
Yeah.
There's enough business for everybody. If you execute your thing really well, there's very, very high chance you can be successful. Rich at Reptile Basics, really, really key partner and great friend and supporter. He taught me that, he does a lot of racks and cages, maybe, one of the bigger racks and cage guys in the industry now. But he also supplies a lot of plastic for his competitors. A lot of the PVC he brings in and then resells to other cage and rack guys. And his philosophy was, I'm going to execute at the highest possible level I can. And when I'm doing that, I can't make enough racks and cages to meet the demand as it is. If I supply plastics, if I supply materials to competitors, they want to buy the materials. Great. He gets it at a better price than anybody else because he's bringing in such a large quantity of it. But he's fine to support his competitors because he understands that not everybody's going to execute at the same level he does. But basically, he knows that there's enough business for everyone. It doesn't have to be cutthroat. Same with whatever species. If you're breeding reptiles, whatever species you're doing, you have to identify where you want to be in the market, who your customer base is, and then execute at a very strong and high level at that point. Whether you want to be super boutique and breed the best fucking possible examples of that species at the very highest price, or you want to breed at the midpoint and just produce great numbers and provide and meet that demand. There's also, as we all well know, people that produce at a very low level and produce cheap stuff. But the reality is there's enough customers that want to buy cheap stuff. And they're not buying from the super boutique guys. They're buying from the cheap sellers. So you can execute it at a bunch of different levels in the industry and be successful. You just have to do it well at that point. There's enough business for everybody. If you do it at a pro level and you execute at a very high level, you can be successful. There's no excuse for it. But it also doesn't happen in 6 months.
True.
You got to put time. You've got to show consistency. You've got to show reliability. You've got to show predictability. People have to have confidence they can rely upon you to provide great animal, great product, great service, great follow-up a couple of years from now. Like you're somebody that's going to still be there to support them, to give them follow-up info, somebody that can collaborate with later. Like those are all super key. And so there is enough business for everybody. Rich taught me that. And that really opened up my mind to be able to work with all of these different people that in many aspects might be competitors, but I'd rather be collaborative with a bunch of really great minds than sit in my fucking bedroom and sweat it out about who I'm competing with and failing at. And I can never. What am I going to do? Breed ball pythons at Justin's level or Ozzy's level or something? That's stupid.
Yeah.
Breed what you have. Do it at a really high level. You'll be fine. Don't worry about what Justin or Bob is doing. You'll be fine. Yeah. Just execute really well.
Yeah, I heard a thing recently that was like, you can only be as good as the 3 closest people to you or something along those lines. The 3 closest people to you are going to really determine what level you can really get yourself to. So when you start keeping people at a higher caliber level close to you, you can also get up on that level and really, elevate the things that you're doing just by, working off the energy that's coming off of them.
Yep. It's the energy, the expectation, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're working with super fucking pros, that's the level they're working at. That's their level of expectation. It's hard to hang with them if you're still way down here. You have to have that same level of expectation. And I'm sure that applies on the music side as well. Like, Jeremy, you can't hang around with some fucking yokels and some people that are bullshitting about their music. Like, it doesn't work that way.
No, it's true. It's true. And that's actually, it's funny that you said that, because I was literally just having this conversation yesterday with my music director up in Massachusetts. I was like, man, we spent so many years fighting for $100 gigs and arguing and negotiating with venue owners for that. And it's like, man, all I had to do was change the people that I was willing to network with and start dealing with people that executed things at a higher level. And suddenly the numbers shift. Everybody's happier with that paycheck, and everybody's happy, and that's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff to be done in the reptile industry, for sure.
Yes.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Lots of cool stuff. Speaking of which, I don't know if we have time, but we have Animal Con coming up, Jeremy.
Yes.
And that's really where I ran into you first, was last year at that event.
Yeah.
And I know you're going again this year, right?
Yep, I will be there.
Yeah. Redline will be there as well. We'll have a booth. Just networking, chatting folks up. I really like the opportunity to meet, especially with an entire younger generation of creators and the different YouTubers and social media folks that are really into animals and doing their thing. That's going to be another great opportunity to meet and interact with those kind of folks. Not, I can't only network with fucking 50-year-old dudes. So it helps to round it out with some younger generation folks that bring a lot of new, fresher ideas to the table as well.
True.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Animal Con. It was definitely a fun experience. So I'm excited because this year is going to be bigger, more creators from different species as well. So it'll be a fun weekend for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if we can get Donnie up on some of the talks and see if we can make him feel awkward and uncomfortable.
Yes, perfect.
His experiences. Yeah.
We need a whole panel discussion on what it's like to petition FWC for body cam footage. It'll just be Donnie talking for an hour.
Yes, I would sit in on that panel.
Me too. Oh gosh. Oh man. Okay, so we're definitely rounding down our time, but I wanted to make this one mention because some people have asked, Redline, where does Redline come from? And I know it comes from your love of BMX.
It does come
bike
from
riding. So do you want to just give a little history on that? Because it's not all snakes and boxes here.
No. Yeah. So Redline, it does source from my BMX life. I'm a lifelong bicycle guy. As a kid, I was obsessed with BMX bikes. As an adult, it's more mountain bikes, but I still keep a collection of BMX stuff, including vintage BMX. At one point, I had over 50 bikes. It was really ridiculous.
Holy moly!
Dang. Heck yeah, dude.
But Redline, as a youth, Redline was like the premier Cadillac of bikes. I mean, there's a couple in there, but it was one of the most coveted and best brands out there. So it's always been near and dear to my heart. I was really focused on collecting Redline bikes throughout the 90s, 2000s, 2010s. So when it came time to name a company or companies, you got to come up with something that works.
Yep.
I'm also a bit obsessed about the naming of companies, the branding of things, the marketing of things. When you spell names with wacky letters or symbols or shit that's hard to comprehend or read, it really annoys me. So yeah, I had to come up with something that worked, something easy to remember, easy to spell, easy to say, something that lent itself to good graphics. I mean, it's literally red and it's a fucking line. That's very straightforward. The colors are red, black, and white. It's a classic color combination. Like that's the that's the classic Redline BMX color scheme, was red, black, and white. So also that worked really well. And then, very significantly, it has to be something you can get a domain for, a URL.
Yep.
You might want it to be jeremystrumpets.com, but if that shit's not available, that's not going to work. And redlinescience.com available, Redline shipping available, Redline Enterprises, which is actually what the company that owns Reptile Report was available. So everything. I jumped on a bunch of Redline domains, and it worked out. It's I also didn't want to be too narrow focused and too niched for what we specifically did. Like, when we came up with Ship Your Reptiles and Ship Your Aquatics, those are very specific things. So I didn't want to I wanted to have something more general that didn't speak specifically to, I didn't want it to be, Larry's Leaping Lizard Shipping, something very, very niche. I want it to be more open in general that gives me the ability to do a wider variety of things. So, we can ship reptiles, we can ship aquatics, and we can ship inverts. And I don't have to have a specific, a separate website for each one of those things. So, Redline worked for that. So that was the source of it. There definitely are a handful of BMX and bike nerds out there that pick up on it. Even the graphics are, kind of influenced by Redline BMX. So I get, questions and quizzical looks at shows. Like, is that the BMX thing? And I'm like, hey, fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. And then, and then people want to talk, oh, I had this BMX, or I had Hutch BMX, or, I had whatever BMX brand back in the day. And so, you get off onto, some cool bike conversations. But that's what it did source from BMX, but it just, again, when you're naming your company, you have to think about many, many different aspects to, is this marketable? Is it readable? Is it pronounceable? Is it memorable? And Redline, I was just like, fuck, that hits on all of my points. I'm gonna go with that. Love it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Hell yeah.
And it's like a if you know kind of thing, where like you see people, you're like, I see you.
Yep. Absolutely.
Heck yeah, man. All right. So our one final question is, as we wrap this up, Robyn, we ask all of our guests, what in the realm of reptiles, be it something that you're dealing with or something that you've seen online, maybe through the Reptile Report, what in the realm of reptiles has you excited about reptiles right now?
What has me excited about reptiles? I've heard some grumbling about the market itself, and it's softening up, and sales are softening up. I'm not really seeing that on the shipping side at this point. It's been very strong. The growth of the industry has me excited. And if you've only been around for 2 or 3 years, it's hard to have a perspective of what that really means. But when you look back at 2010 or 2012, or God forbid, 1999, we've come such a long fucking way.
Yeah, for real.
And it's more pro than ever. And the crazy thing is we have a long way to go. It's a total upside. So I get excited about the position of the industry. That gets me super stoked, and about where we can go. Justin Kobilka and Canova, that shit did not exist 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Nobody was executing on that kind of a level. NARBC Tinley Park, it's existed for 20 years, but it's not what it was 5 years ago. It's more pro than ever. And we, when you go and look at the vendors and the displays and the setups and the variety of vendors, mind blowing. The thought and the money and the execution people are putting into their brand and their presence and their marketing is fucking better than ever. And it's getting more and more professional. Now, like I said, we have a long way to go. If you go to an auto show, or you go to a clothing show, or you go to a music industry show, or even you go to a hobby show, shit's on a whole fucking other level.
Yeah.
So we have a long way that we can go and keep improving. But I 100% see these very, very pro folks executing at a terrific level. And we just keep getting better and better as an industry. The standards get higher, expectations get higher. And, whether or not the animal prices fluctuate, that always happens. But the industry as a whole just keeps moving forward. And that gets me very excited to see the different vendors at the show, again, and their different brands, their different presentations, to see videos of the different facilities that are out there. Unbelievable. Love it. I thought we were doing some cool shit at Pro Exotics. It's nothing compared to the facilities and execution that folks are doing now with their collections and the quality of reptile rooms. And that always gets me excited. I'm definitely a business nerd. Like, I love the business side and the industry. The CX is fantastic. And I'm still pestering Brian Potter to take Tinley Park to the next level. And I'm sure it's going to annoy some of the vendors, but I think the industry is ready for a 3-day show. When you go to these other industries, they're 4-day shows, 5-day shows. We go to Super Zoo in Vegas. That's whatever it is, 4 or 5-day show. But it's dogs and cats and birds and everything. It's time for reptiles to be at that level. So it's time that reptiles, because you can't do enough in 2 days at Tinley. That's not enough fucking time. True. I get through a third of my list by Sunday afternoon. I got a list of things I need to do, people I need to talk to, things I want to accomplish. And I don't get through half of it by Sunday. I could absolutely need another day. And now people are, stressing out. Vendors are selling as much on Friday as they used to sell on a Saturday. So, yeah, I think it's time that as an industry, we start looking to step up that execution and that presentation. And so, yeah, the growth of the industry is what gets me super fucking excited.
Dude, hell yeah,
dude.
I'm down for it. Now, Tinley's open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to be pumped.
Right.
Yes. Well, that means you got to go set up on Thursday, which may mean that, a lot of folks are going to have to fly in on Wednesday. And so it's a much bigger ask.
Yeah.
But a lot of reptile folks, this is their side gig, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to add another day of the week you're asking a lot, but it's the growth of the industry. There's plenty of 2-day shows. There's plenty of 1-day shows. I think it's time for our industry to have a big 3-day show, and we step up and say, this is big business. This is who we are. This is how we're going to present ourselves. And I think Brian and Bob at NARBC are the ones to do that. I think they've got the facility to present that. They've got the vendor list that would fucking kill it. I mean, you're telling me that Bob's Balls and Canova and these types of folks wouldn't absolutely step their game up to make their presentation that much stronger? Have you seen Gecko Junkies displays?
Yeah, man.
Entire fucking wall.
Yeah.
The Gecko Junkie would love to have another day to be able to do what he does. And he's another great mind, great young mind in the industry. He has yet to be burnt out and become cynical. He still has time. But the way he executes and the vision that he has is, it's super inspiring. But yes, you give him 3-day show, he will 100% step up his game. And that's what I would love to see. I'd love to see the opportunity to really step up into a whole nother level of industry for what we're doing. I think we, as an industry, we totally deserve it.
Heck yeah, dude.
Dude, that's where it's at.
I'm gonna start the petition. Sorry, Rob. I'm gonna start the petition for Brian Potter. Be like, look, man, Friday.
It's gotta happen.
I want this thing fucking ready on Friday.
Yep, he knows. Well, they're gonna mess around and get that Animal Con thing stretched to 5 days. Watch. I mean, that has a tremendous upside, and could be really a huge. And it's a completely different show and experience than a reptile show. But yeah, I mean, even that show has a tremendous upside and ability to grow from there. I mean, it was madness last year,
Yeah.
There was every hour there's new talks, but there's multiple talks per hour, and I was really frustrated. I had to choose. Like, there's 3 talks I want to see from 2 to 3 o'clock. I have to choose one of them. So to be able to stretch it out and get more opportunity to see more talks and more interesting people, and that show has a lot of upside as well. But hey, everybody out there, please text Brian Potter. His number's 323-4
555-5555.
He knows, and he's you know what, he's all about it too. He whether or not they're they have to execute it, right? You have to book the facility longer, you have to book the hotel longer, you've got to get the vendors on board. So it's going to be a process, but he really liked the idea of stepping it up to 3 days. So we'll see how soon they can try and make that happen. But I think it's time. Our industry is matured enough that it's time to do that.
That would be tight.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, man. If people want to see the things that you're doing, where should they look you up online?
I mean, you can find us on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Redline Science, Redline Shipping, for all of your shipping needs, redlineshipping.com. Cheap ass plug. You can use Robyn 60 for your first 2 shipments, get 60% off FedEx retail rates for your first 2 overnight shipping packages. We have a great staff to help you walk through the process, whether you're familiar or not with the shipping of live animals. We can do it safely and responsibly, which is super key. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, we're up there. You can find us there. I don't do TikTok.
Come on, TikTok dances. I want to see you do a TikTok dance.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know.
You pick the day of the week, Robyn. It's going to be a different fucking dance, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's different every day. So,
well, I can tell you what. I'm glad I don't have Donnie stalking me, trying to film me doing some crazy.
I know what's going to happen at Animal Con.
Bum bum bum.
I think I know what's not going to happen at Animal Con.
Oh man,
dude.
I have a hard time staying up on Facebook and Instagram. A bunch of different platforms it gets you. Yeah, it's a lot sometimes, but do what you
TikTok moves even quicker, for real.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. But thank you so much for coming on, man. We appreciate you for your time. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Time flew by. A minute or an hour and 21. That's
man.
Yeah, right by.
Can't wait to see the next things that you guys roll out, because I know that there's more just bubbling up.
Oh yeah,
we do have some cool shit happening this year. Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
We'll stay in touch. Hey, thanks for your support, and thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, yes, Robyn. Thank you again so much.
All right, spend time on your horns. All right.
Yeah.